It's your girl Carly Black, and you're tuned in to
Diamond Life Radio.
You're tuned in to Diamond Life Radio, where we play all underground all the time. Check you're tuned in to Diamond Life Radio, where we play all underground all the time. Hey y'all, it's Diamond Life Radio, your girl Carly Black in the building, and I'm here today with my co-host,
Ready, let it roll.
and we have joining us Miss Sherry Jackson, representing Adoption Choices of Texas, and she is here to drop off some knowledge about adoption and different ways that we can get involved in the adoption process.
Yes.
How you doing, Miss Jackson?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. Thank you for joining us as well. Okay, so can you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. My name is Sherry Jackson. I am an adoption specialist for Adoption Choices of Texas, which is a full-service licensed adoption agency. We work with both birth mothers and adoptive parents who are interested in undergoing the adoption process. We do have several locations across the country. Throughout the state of Texas, we help birth mothers set up an adoption plan. If they're interested in adopting their babies, we also adopt children who are ages 0 months to 3 years of age. We work with the adoptive parents that are interested in adopting children, and we try to match those families with a child who would be suitable for their home, and vice versa.
Okay, so Adoption Choices of Texas. Can you tell us how long you guys have been in business?
Yes, we have been in business since 2012. Currently, we have a location in Katy, Texas. We also have a location in Dallas, Texas. In Irving, Texas. So we cover the entire state of Texas. However, we do have approximately 4 counselors, one in the San Antonio area, one in the Austin area, one in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we also have myself, which I am the counselor who covers the entire Houston and surrounding region.
Okay. So over the years, we've had different interactions. Us, when I say we, I mean like black women, black people as a whole. I take myself, yes, I do take that weight on my shoulder to speak for the whole entire black race. Okay, so over the years, we've developed this kind of sense to where we are not certain, or we don't really trust people when you say adoption. Like, adoption is like almost blasphemy type of thing with us, you know what I mean? So can you do some clarification on the adoption process, some of the myths that we may have versus the actual facts about adoption?
Sure. So many people think that adoption is giving up your baby or giving up, and most adoptions today are open. Adoption is not giving up your baby, which means that you can continue to have contact with the adoptive family as your child grows, giving life, giving love, giving family, giving opportunity, but never giving up. So in many instances, people think that it's a bad thing when they're unable to parent or care for their own children, and sometimes there's a lot of resentment with that. And so what we do is we basically support our birth mothers through the process while they're undergoing the adoption process from beginning to end.
Okay, so can you tell us some of the benefits that a family or a person could obtain from assisting you guys with this, with your company? Like, if I wanted to adopt a baby or if I wanted to become a birth mother. Like, what are the benefits? How that's going to benefit me too? Because most people want to benefit off everything, you know. So how would that benefit me?
Well, first and foremost, I would say that we have our local adoption counselors are here to provide personal attention in resolving the questions and concerns that the birth moms have about the process, which is the baseline. As far as adoption services with us, we provide financial assistance. We can help birth moms pay rent. We can make sure bills are paid through the pregnancy. We can help with food, hygiene, products, and more. We can also help with transportation. We also provide medical care where we make sure that the birth moms have access to prenatal care from excellent doctors and nurses, and we help them create a hospital birth plan that is best for them. In addition, we have supportive counseling. We help birth mothers make the decisions that are right for their unique situation, and we'll be by their side through their pregnancy and during the birth. We also provide post-placement counseling and additional support to our birth moms.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yes, definitely.
Right. That's a lot. Okay, so what are some of the major impacts or changes that Adoption Choices hope to see by reaching out to us? You know, like...
Well, I would say we want to be able to provide our services and provide support to any birth mother or adoptive family, whether they want to adopt or whether they want to give their child or place their child up for adoption. We want to be there to support them throughout the process. With that being said, I can honestly say that at this point in time, there are a limited number of African American birth mothers on our caseload at this time, and which is something that, you know, we're trying to do is to provide more outreach to the African American community. Based on statistics, it looks like there are approximately 16,000 children in care in CPS care as of November of 2020. And according to the statistics, about 3,780 of those children are African American. And from a cultural perspective, many of the processes and rules and regulations that are put into place sometimes do not coincide with the cultural needs of the African American children, which is why we would like to see an increase in more adoptive parents, African American adoptive parents, because there have been instances where we've had difficulty placing an African American child with an African American family and vice versa. So I think that it would be important to understand that adoption is an option. It's an option and it's beneficial for many reasons. Not only is it an opportunity to have an open adoption, there are many adoptive families that we work with that are suitable and undergo a thorough screening process and a home study to qualify as adoptive parents. Not only that, we create an adoption plan that can be an empowering choice. So a woman who chooses an adoption plan has an awareness of the limitations of her current situation, emotional, physical, familial, financial, or a combination of all of these factors. So I would say that to eliminate any child from entering into the foster care system via CPS, not just African American children, that it would be important for us to continue to educate our community, whether it's African American, Caucasian, Hispanic, Native American. It's important for us to have a diversified approach and educate our community so that they'll understand that adoption is not a negative thing, and that it's a way to allow a child to enter a home where there's stability, quality care, access to quality education, access to quality health care, just a nurturing home in the event that the birth mother is unable to parent or is unsuitable to parent. Now, we do have...
not to cut you off, but as you were talking before, I wrote down preventative, because when you said options, there's an option. If you know that you're not that you're not ready for this baby, and you know that you don't want to have an abortion, so you can sit back and do an evaluation over your situation, and you can kind of use adoption as a preventative measure, to prevent CPS from becoming involved in your life because you're unable to properly care for your child. You could go ahead and hey, I'm going to have to take my personal accountability and do what I feel is best so this child can actually have the chance at life that it really needs. Because sometimes kids end up in bad situations simply because of our selfishness, So there's a multitude of options that we can choose from when it comes to having babies and, the way that those kids are raised. And, as a mother, and I've seen other people too where I've said these people shouldn't have had no kids, or right. Hey, so certain situations, those kids would be better off with a little guidance from somebody else. You know what I mean?
And sometimes, a lot of times, each case is different. So, for instance, we may have a birth mom or someone, a female who finds out that she's pregnant, who has an addiction to drugs, and which is a very hard obstacle to overcome. And so if that mom is addicted to drugs, then we try to refer them to methadone clinics and to rehabilitation, and we also provide adoption services to them as well. In some instances, some of our birth moms don't have a support system. So in that instance, they seek our services to ensure that the child is placed in a stable home. Now, we know that, our birth moms love and our birth fathers as well, because we do work with birth fathers. Sometimes we have couples approach us. Sometimes it's just a single mom who doesn't know who the father is. Sometimes it's just a mom who knows who the father is, and they just have a mutual decision that they do not want to parent. So we know that they love their child and have a genuine desire to provide the best possible circumstances for their child's life, even if that means relinquishing their rights as a parent in a traditional sense. With our agency, we're very compassionate about their circumstances. We'll never judge them, and we'll always be by their side physically, emotionally, and financially.
And you spoke on tradition. I would like to speak on tradition a little bit. I personally feel that some traditions that we tend to upkeep need to be cut. You understand what I'm saying? So when it comes to making decisions to better your life and better your children's lives, sometimes tradition is not the best option. Sometimes you have to look outside of tradition for an answer. So don't feel like just because my mom and them didn't put us up for adoption, you know what I mean? You can't give your child a better opportunity than you had. Who wants to continue these generational curses, passing them down from generation to generation? It's really time to cut it out.
That's correct. I absolutely agree. And what I can say about that is that a lot of times you have cycles of poverty. You may have let's just say there's a family out there where grandma was in poverty, the daughter's in poverty, now she has children, and so those cycles just continue. It's a continuous cycle. And so when that happens, sometimes families think that they're able to parent and support one another to raise children, and when that becomes overwhelming, stress levels increase. A lot of times it's hard to face reality that that responsibility takes priority over anything else, And so they begin to kind of, I would say, go into a different direction when it comes to parenting. And there goes the abuse and the neglect.
Yeah, I was going to also say, I know recently I noticed in the news where there's been a lot of, like, back in the days we used to see a lot of, not to be biased or racist when it comes to it, but back in the days we used to see a lot of white women killing their children, you know, and nowadays we seeing a lot of black women killing their children, you know, and it's really, like, it's preventable, you know what I mean? Like, it's preventable, man. It's not that bad, you know. Nothing's that bad. And even if it's that bad for you, kill yourself. Don't kill your baby. You can put that kid up for adoption.
Don't kill yourself. Call the suicide hotline.
I'm just saying, if you want to kill yourself, you know, you don't have to kill that baby. It's alternative. It's alternative solutions to the problem. You feel me? It's alternative solutions.
Right, and I think that it's from that point that you just made. I think it's about perspective, because I'd have to look up the statistics as far as, you know, murders and races and, you know, babies being murdered.
Hold on, let me see if I can get that. Go ahead.
Okay.
While you doing that, I'm gonna go ahead.
And so I can honestly say, from a cultural perspective, it's very important that when children are placed in a home that we take culture into consideration, because as that child grows up, they're going to enter different stages of life, different developmental stages. There's going to be the identity stage where they try to figure out who they are. There's going to come a point where the adoptive parents may or may not disclose to them that they've been adopted. And so I think to place a child in a home where they are culturally fit, and they're also fit to be in a good home with a family who's going to care for them and provide them with everything that they need. That's what we call matching. We actually provide our birth mothers with options to select the adoptive parents to which they choose to adopt. And we provide the adoptive parents with thorough information about the birth moms while maintaining confidentiality, so that they're aware of whether or not any mental illness exists, if there are any health problems, anything that could be genetically inherited by the newborn baby or the child. So I think that just from a holistic perspective, it's important for people to know that there is help, that we are here 24 hours per day, 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, to provide support services in the event that someone is pregnant and has an unexpected or unwanted pregnancy. We'll help them make an adoption plan that is right for them, and we support them so that they can feel that they have someone by their side instead of feeling like they've given up. We're committed to our birth mothers despite their circumstances. We provide support, gather background information for them, select a good family, and help with any pregnancy-related needs that they may have. We also handle all of the administrative and legal details of their adoption plan, and we have financial assistance, again, available for them. One of the good things is with our agency, we have licensed master level social workers available to provide counseling services during pregnancy and also after pregnancy, which is what we call post-placement. We have counselors who are available via Zoom, face-to-face, and also via telephone available to support our clients. As far as being an adoption counselor, I can honestly say I have been privileged to work with some very interesting and thriving birth mothers. I've also had an opportunity to work with some very good counselors who are employed with our agency. We have a director, her name is Jennifer Morrison. She's actually a very good director. She's very familiar, has lots of experience in the child placing industry. And we also have a director. Her name is Shatara Robinson. She's here in the Houston area. She is the director over the adoptive parents, and she's very, very versatile. She actually has served as an adoption counselor, and she provides support wherever she's needed. Our counselor in San Antonio, her name is Ashley Daly. She's been with the agency for quite some time, and she's very experienced. We have Amanda Bailey in the Austin area, and we also have Christina Alera in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So our counselors, on a rotating basis, we have the hotline, and most of the time we have a designated staff that will answer the hotline. Many of our inquiries, as far as our new birth moms, come from online inquiries where they go to Google and they put their information in to let us know that they're interested in an adoption plan. And so that's where we get some of our referrals, and some of our referrals actually come from the hospitals and the clinics when they encounter a birth mom who's interested in undergoing an adoption plan. So it's a very, very good program. I've actually been employed with the agency since November of 2020, and I've worked with some very good people. They're very knowledgeable, and we're very supportive. We put our adoptive parents and our birth mothers and our birth fathers as priority with our agency while adhering to the rules and regulations.
I like to also state that my personal opinions do not reflect Adoption Choices of Texas.
No, definitely no, you're fine.
But yeah, I really like to thank you. And what do you feel? What do you feel is the most important piece of knowledge that you can give to anyone considering adoption, or even considering becoming a birth mother, or even becoming a birth family? I mean, an adoptive
word again.
Family.
I can honestly say that it's very challenging. It's more of there's a level of fear, and I could say anxiety, that may exist with some of our adoptive parents, because although the birth mother is setting up an adoption plan, she has the option when she gets to the hospital to deliver the baby to actually change her mind. And so that can be a very scary feeling for the adoptive parents who've invested all of this time with the, just kind of going along with the process for 6, 7, or 8 months. And
okay, so I didn't mean to cut you off, my bad. So with the process, because I know money is very tightly involved in that process, and so they cut it off 6 months. The person that is the person that is trying to give the baby adoption, do they have to pay that money back to
no
the couple?
So the way that it works is the majority of the funding, as far as the financial assistance that I mentioned earlier for the birth mom, the majority of that funding comes from the adoptive parents. Normally what happens is at 20 weeks, we match the birth mom to the adoptive parents, the adoptive family, and from that point we do what's called an exhibit, where we actually calculate the director calculates all of the expenses, or what's estimated as far as medical bills, living expenses, and everything. So if the adoptive parents do happen to issue out funding for the birth mom and she changes her mind, that is a risk that adoptive parents can take. Now, it happens sometimes, but I can honestly say that it's all about knowing your birth mom, establishing a counselor-client relationship with the birth mom, knowing what the red flags are if for some reason she's starting to change her mind, which that is her option, and we do allow her to make her own decisions. but also we know that we're dealing with a human life. We're dealing with a child. So, for instance, if I have a birth mom who I know has struggled with drug addiction, and now she's changing her mind, but yet she hasn't fully rehabilitated or obtained the services that she needs, that would be a major concern when it comes to the birth of a child.
Right.
And as a counselor, and as counselors, it's our job to report that to Children Protective Services in the event that a birth mom is using drugs or doing anything that's risky to harm the baby. So I can honestly say that, you know, each person's situation is different. We all have our struggles. Sometimes we have birth mothers who don't know who the fathers are. They're unaware of the birth father. We deal with so many birth mothers from different backgrounds. And so I think that the biggest challenge right now, honestly, is just reaching out and trying to get some type of understanding from our community members that, you know, help is here, and open adoptions are also an option because you can still maintain a relationship with the child. One of the things that I'd like to add from a cultural perspective is I know that in my family, which is different for everyone, so I'm just stating my opinion. In my family, I know that my family would be opposed to adoption, but as a mother, if I knew that I was unable to care for my child or I had any concerns about providing that child with a quality life, I wouldn't be selfish and try to take on that task alone. If I exhaust all of my resources, I'd rather see my child in a home with a loving family who can provide that child with a lifetime of opportunities and quality care.
And not to cut you off, but like in my sense, I have a son who was adopted. He has his adopted mother. She takes care of him, but he was disabled, and I wasn't able to properly care for him. You know what I mean? So I had to take on that responsibility and make that decision. Do I allow somebody to take care of my son who can take care of him, or do I selfishly keep him with me and let him be miserable and I'm miserable, and then all of us in here crying? You know what I mean? So we had to actually make that decision. I had to, and like, we do good. I talk to her, I talk to him, I see him, everything.
That's
so
awesome.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
I had thought about adoption, but I couldn't do it because I was like, they ain't fit to come find me, try to come find me 14, 15 years later.
And I ain't gonna lie, I'm just waiting on the phone call because I know that's gonna happen. So it's like,
and you know, it's amazing because what we have is there's an adoption registry that they have with the state, and basically once the adoption process is finalized, the birth mother has access to the central registry, and the adoptive parents who have the baby have access to the central registry. They can upload pictures and letters, and the birth mother and the birth father also has the option for the child to have their contact information. So a lot of times we have some adoptive families who are not interested in an open adoption. And sometimes we have birth mothers who want to close the adoption, they want the adoption to take place, and they want to relinquish their rights and walk away. Which is, I've observed this is one of the hardest, most sentimental pieces to this, because this birth mom has actually carried this child for the past 9 to 10 months, you know, and at that point where you're relinquishing your rights at a hospital, it's not a bad thing because you're blessing another family. You're blessing another family who may have infertility issues, who may want to parent an additional child, who may just want to provide that child with a loving and caring home. So I think that it's important for society to understand that these agencies are here to do what's in the best interest of the child and also the birth mom. Because motherhood is a process, fatherhood is a process. And although there are other options such as you have private adoption, you have foster care, you have family members, you also have the option to parent. So we encourage our birth mothers to independently make their decisions according to what they consider would be best for them and also their unborn child. We've helped homeless birth mothers or birth mothers who were homeless. We've helped birth mothers who had substance abuse issues. We've also helped birth mothers who were in domestic violence situations. We've helped birth mothers who may have been married and they decided along with their husband that they did not want to parent a child. So they come from all of our birth moms come from different backgrounds. And I can honestly say that they say if you do what you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And working for Adoption Choices of Texas has been the most rewarding position that I've had throughout my career since I was, I'd say, out of my undergrad. So it's a wonderful agency. We have compassionate staff. We provide, again, financial support. We provide our birth mothers with a safe place to stay, counseling, anything that you could just about imagine. We provide that support to them.
So y'all already know it's Ray Literal. So let me just tell y'all, Ray Literal opinion, literal quote, literal words for the day, for the interview. I would prefer, I say, let Way approve adoption. I would approve adoption. I would prefer that you guys, if you are thinking about it, go the adoption way before you do the foster care way. You know, foster care ain't nothing but, you know, a retirement home for kids that's not wanted. You know, y'all know half of them people don't even treat them kids real good. So, let's try the adoption way. It's approved, lit way approved right here. All right, let's do that. You know what I'm saying? Our kids deserve love. You know. Kids deserve love, not a foster home.
Wee woo, wee woo. And if you are interested in becoming an adoptive parent or adoptive parents, or if you are interested in undergoing the adoption process as a birth mother, please do not hesitate to call us at 888-307-3340. You can also email us at info@adoptionchoicesoftexas.org. You may also write to us at 5005 West Royal Lane, Suite 291, Irving, Texas 75063. Please feel free to visit us on our website at www.adoptionchoicesoftexas.org.
All right, Miss Jackson, thank you very much for joining us today. And if you ever have any more information you'd like to drop off, we would definitely give you the opportunity. Anything else you want to share with the people?
Yes, I just like...
you look like you had something else on your mind. I was like, wait a minute, do you have something else on your mind?
Again, I just want to reiterate that our mission is to provide the highest level of service, compassion, and support throughout the adoption process. Let us help you place your child in private, open adoption in an adoptive home instead of going to foster care or to a family member that might not be your first choice. If you're an expectant woman and you're pregnant, in jail or in prison, or even if you're not in jail or prison, you may question whether an adoption plan is the possibility for you, and the answer is yes.
All right. Once again, can you direct them to your website?
Our website is www.adoptionchoicesoftexas.org.
All right. This has been Diamond Life Radio with Miss Jackson, Miss Carly,
and Miss Ray Literal.
Thank y'all for joining us.
Have a good evening.
You're tuned in to Diamond Life Radio, where we play all underground all the time. Check. You're tuned in to. Get your private done, baby. Diamond Life Radio, where we play all underground all the time.